Hey, my beautiful souls. Welcome to the Spacious Sarah podcast. I am on a mission to bring back the lost art of meaningful conversations that touches our heart and expand our perspectives. My intention is to create a space where you feel seen, heard, and loved. Each episode is crafted to hold that space, allowing you to open up and explore thoughts and ideas in a safe environment. So, grab your imaginary marshmallows, find a cozy spot under the sky full of stars, and join me in these campfire-worthy conversations as I take you on a journey to places you've never been and spark conversations you've never had before. Let's go. Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Spacious Sarah podcast. So today I have a special guest with me, and she is Shanthy. Hi, Shanthy. Welcome on today's episode. Welcome to the Spacious Sarah podcast.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you for having me here.
I'm glad. So, um, we actually didn't want to say this. For those of you who are listening, we didn't want to say this, but Shanthy is actually my sister. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with her. And I think it's also exciting for her because she always says that I don't talk much. I'm very quiet at home. I am always on my phone or on the laptop or reading a book. So I think this is interesting. She has my undivided attention for the next 1 hour. So I think she's really excited about it. So yeah, how are you feeling right now?
Very good, very good.
Cool.
Excited.
I'm excited to know about things that maybe I do not know. So let's see where this goes. Right. So, something that I wanted to ask you for some time. What was it like growing up being the eldest in the family? Like, were there any pressure put on you? Like, I remember that you wanted to be a doctor, and I wanted to be a lawyer, the typical brown family thing, right? Although
Yep.
there wasn't any pressure put on us, I've no idea where, we had those thoughts. But what was it like growing up, as being the eldest in the family?
What was it like growing up? I I would say I didn't find many challenges. I guess I'm more of a person that I got my sister into trouble a couple of times. I always share this incident. I just like to bully her. There was one time, right? Her mom asked me to take you for a haircut. And then I brought you down and told the lady, cut her like the kelapa, the coconut head. And the lady did actually cut it. My sister came back crying. So, that part of growing up, it was fun. Although we had, we lived in a small space, but it was called home for us. We loved it. We shared
Yeah.
rooms. Of course, we had our ups and downs of pulling hairs and, disagreeing. And Sarah being Sarah, she always thinks that mom and dad favors me being the elder daughter. But she doesn't realize that I've always given in. Yeah, I've always gave in, including education as well. Like she said that, yep, I wanted to be a doctor. That was my dream from young. And then I finally switched because I know how expensive it's going to be. Didn't want to burden my mom and my dad, especially was working back then. I thought about Sarah, and she wanted to do law. If my dad is going to spend everything on me, she's not going to have the balance for her side. Yep, I just gave up on that, and I'm happy. I have no regrets. I have no regrets not being a doctor. I'm just so happy not being it.
The
But
irony
life was
that,
good for us. I mean, life
yeah,
was good for both of us. I guess our parents provided us all the what would we say, all that we was needed, all the resources. We had everything from education, food on the table 3 times a day, a roof to live in. We did all that to go traveling. So life for us, even though at a small space, a small family, an average family, we had a good time. I would say that was luxury for us. We had a good time.
yeah, I think although we are really very average, mediocre family, I think our parents brought us up like some rich ass kids.
Yes, yes, I
Yeah,
totally agree.
the amount of pampering not in like in a bad way, like how they spare the rod and spoil the child, that kind of thing. No, we
No,
did got our
we
own
had to earn
wacky.
for it.
Yeah, we had to earn. But I think like papa always brought us out 3 times a week at least for dinner, 3 times a week. Weekend is
Yep.
always out. So I think we really grew up like not having that kind of difficulty. And I think our difficulty, like came much more when we grew older, when the world finally kicked in.
Yeah.
Um, I would say like falling from the same tree,
Yeah.
having very similar values and having very similar experiences as well. Yet we are both very, very different
Yeah.
individuals.
Yeah.
Even our life experiences almost the same. Like we both wanted to study something and then we ended up doing something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
We both went through domestic violence,
Yes.
and we both stayed in relationships that did not empower us,
Yeah.
for different reasons, I believe.
Yeah.
Could you share about your own personal experience about your relationship experience? Yeah.
I think the longest relationship I had was my marriage, right? So dated 7 years, married, was in the marriage for 7 years, and have been divorced for 12 years. So I've been in a long relationship. Back then, young, you never thought much. Although my parents were not in an agreement of me getting married to this person, but then coming from an Indian family, it's like, when you date, you can't date too long. You got to get married. You don't want to have um, incidents to happen, right? Then it's a shame to the family. So then, yeah, I got married. Married the wrong guy, but back then it was just, it's all about partying and enjoying life, not thinking, thinking ahead, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, and so on and so forth. Yeah, married someone who's on an average level. So
When
yeah,
you said the wrong person, right? Sorry to interject there, but when you said the wrong person, when did you realize it was the wrong person? Because a lot of times we avoid the yellow
yes,
flags
yes,
and then we
yes,
wonder where the red flag showed up, right? So we know, like the
yes.
head knows, but the heart is like, so for you, when was that?
I guess just maybe before marriage, and it's just started. But then for me, it's like, hey, why not? You can definitely not find the perfect man. You got to experience it, right? So it's no thing that, oh, you've known this person for 5 years and then you think you get married at the sixth year, it's going to be all nice. No, you probably only start knowing about the person at the sixth year, right? I've known people who've been in a relationship for 10 years and only in the 11th year they start seeing things. So I noticed it, but I guess, hey, that's life. No one is perfect. Let's give chance to each other. I'm not perfect myself. So yeah, you will never find Mr. Right. Until today, I can tell you, you will never find that Mr. Right. We all have,
I'm
we have
against
the good,
that.
the bad, and the ugly, right? So there's no perfect man or no perfect woman. It's just that what do you call, um, what's that word?
Compromise.
How you compromise. That's right. And of course, you don't want to go to the,
Yeah.
bad apple, but how you compromise. None of us are perfect. It's just that compromising with each other and, being responsible, working as a team in a relationship, right? So yeah, then I just continued, got married, moved to Singapore to work. And honestly, I was not a person who loved kids. It's okay. But then, my ex-husband, he loved kids, and finally I gave in. After 4 years of marriage, I gave in. I was pregnant. I was not happy about my pregnancy, to be honest. If my daughter's looking at this, yeah, Jerica, mom was not happy being pregnant at that time, that point of time. And but I told myself I need to give in. I cannot be selfish in that sense. My man, he wants a child, so let's go ahead. So yeah, I was pregnant and then came back to Penang. And when we came back to Penang, things were just going down the drain financially because I came back with a job. My ex came back without a job, and then I started working. He did not start working, so there was, house rent to pay, house installments to pay, to buy baby diapers, milk. It's not cheap, right? So then he was just lazing and not doing stuff, and then eventually no work. I was the only one working, the only one spending, the only one. So this was going on, and then he got involved with drugs, right? From smoking weed to meth as an ice. So things got really bad, really, really bad. I found out, confronted him. He was not happy. As usual, all druggies will say that, oh, I know my level, I'm in control, don't worry about it. So it just went on. And I just kept all of this from my family because I didn't want mom and dad to worry and things like that. So then 1 year later, after moving back to Malaysia, um, things was getting bad. So my final call was when he actually hit me. He was abusive in terms of mental abuse. Whenever he speaks, there's always something, not right. And, also physical abuse in the sense that, I will be sleeping, he suddenly wakes up, takes the nail, takes the hammer and start knocking on my feet, saying there's Satan in me. And so the last call was when he hit me on my birthday and accusing me for spiking his cough mixture. Right. Then I told myself, this is it. I'm not going to tolerate any more of this. And for the safety of my daughter Jerica, I said I needed to do something. So me being the bionic woman, I did, went around a few places because I wanted to help him. I didn't want to be selfish in my sense. For me, I'm done with this relationship, but I wanted my daughter to have a father. It's not fair for me to think about myself, but to also think about her to have a father. So I went around in Penang looking for places where they will accept, like a more of a rehab, private rehab. But when it comes to private rehab in Penang, you, um, the person itself have to come and surrender, right? Which
So
I've
it has
also
to be voluntary.
voluntary. That's right.
Okay.
So I did speak to him, and being a drug addict again, he didn't accept that. He say, he's okay, he's fine, and yada yada yada. Then I said this is not going to work out. So I went to the government agency, spoke to them, had a consultation with them. So they advised me the only way is to get him caught with the police, and then they will bring him to the government rehab. So that's what I did. I took my dad along with me, made a police report, gave everything from A to Z, and then opened the house doors for him, for the police. I mean, just police came in and just handcuffed him and took him away. So he was sent to rehab. Of course, he was not happy because me being the wife back then, set him up in that sense. So he went to rehab, and I just wanted to support. Although I didn't like going up and down police station, being harassed by policemen, being harassed by the rehab center, a police there. This was a bi-weekly affair for me, being harassed. Young wife coming over with food, the husband, all sort of words they would put on him, right? But I just brushed that off, and just wanted to support him as being my husband. Just didn't want him to leave me rehab. I did go every 2 weeks to visit him with good food. My mom used to cook really good food that he liked, brought it over. My parents, I must say, they were very, very supportive throughout this period, really supportive. They didn't put me down in any sense. Yep. So I was going up to rehab, and then he managed to, get out of rehab within a year.
Where
Yep.
was this rehab place?
This rehab was on the mainland. It takes me about 1.5 hours drive one way, and
Okay.
then back. And then in between, he was posted to another state far away on the east side, and that takes you about 5-6 hours drive
One way.
one way. So I've done back to back, like leaving 5 o'clock in the morning from where I live, driving all the way to this place, like 5-6 hours drive, seeing him for only 45 minutes, and then driving back and coming back home. So I did this twice, and then I appealed from the rehab center saying that, I want to support my husband back then. Can you post him somewhere closer? So in the end, after a couple of months, they post him closer. So I was doing that back and forth. Once in a while, I do bring my daughter in, but I didn't want her to expose too much. Just
Yeah.
once, I think I did a 2 trip with her. The rest of the time, I go on my own. So then he came back from rehab. But from the time he went to rehab, I've already told myself, this is my last call. I've done everything as a wife, I've provided everything for him. So this is my last call. If works out, it works out. It doesn't, I'm packing back. I'm packing my bags and leaving, right? So then he comes back from rehab, still acting funny, not trusting me. The trust wasn't there between both of us because I did not trust him, to be honest. I was always, looking out if it's up to something. But his attitude didn't change. He got back into drugs, and then he went and converted into Islam, with that state of mind. And then I told myself, when I found the conversion card to Islam, I told myself, I guess this is God's way of telling me you need to get out, right? So then I quickly packed my bag. When he came back from rehab, just to go back, came back from rehab, we rented another place. He started doing nonsense like back to violence again, treating me. It was just verbal violence, physical violence, and so on. And then there was one night that I didn't want to be blamed by anybody. So I actually called his mom over to the house to witness whatever he was doing.
Hmm.
because I don't want him to twist the story and put the blame on me to say that no, I'm the crazy woman.
Yeah, most mothers especially, they don't see what their child do.
Exactly, exactly.
They
So I don't
don't.
want to be that person
Yeah.
to be blamed. So I let her watch everything. I took videos and let her watch everything, and she understood, right? She understood. So then came when he converted, and when I saw everything, I said, "This is it. God is just telling me, hey, get out." I called my mom and dad, called his parents. I'm packing up and leaving. So yeah, I packed up, took Jerica with me, and I moved back to my parents' place. So
Um, I want to go back a little bit and ask you, um, you said you stayed because of Jerica, right? And I feel many women do that.
yes,
And for you, you had your breaking point, right? But for many women, they don't have that breaking point. They continue staying in that relationship for years, and even we know people like that, like even our own
yep,
cousins, she's like
yep,
that, but she brought up her kids so well and all. But I think many women don't do that, right? And I wanted to ask you is, had you not found the conversion card, because honestly I don't think our parents brought us up as racist,
yep,
and it has nothing to do with race or anything here,
exactly,
right?
right.
But um why you left because of the conversion card?
It was just a matter of something just showing me, right? Even if I didn't find the conversion card, probably I would have stayed on another week, two, or maximum a month. I did say that I wouldn't didn't want to leave because of Jerica. I wanted her to have, but at the same time, I didn't want her to have a father who's not responsible at all, right? So I gave him a chance. He didn't utilize the chance. He didn't take the opportunity to change himself when he was the one who wanted a child so badly, so badly. So back then, my anger was, you wanted so much, you wanted to have a child, and then yet you are not responsible. You're not being a responsible father,
Yeah,
right? So my anger was all that, but for me today, I have no anger on this because the only bad thing that's happened in my marriage is
yeah.
my daughter. It's an amazing child. Yeah. So I would have left. I would have left. I would have given myself, I think, maximum 1 month.
That means
And
it has been that bad already. If the maximum,
yes,
like,
because I
if you
don't have
say,
I don't have any feelings anymore. And
yeah,
it's just something different every day that he's doing. And like I said, he's violent, right? He even could say things like, who's that man sleeping with you in the room?
hallucinating.
But there wasn't anything because of
Yeah.
that. He has been hallucinating, right?
Mm.
Before he actually stepped out of the window and thinks it's a staircase and jumps down the floor. I better pack up and leave. So I would have probably given myself maximum 1 month.
So by then, does like mommy and papa know about it?
Yeah, they knew about it that things were not really working out, and all I did tell them because he's already gone to rehab back, right? So yeah, I did update on and off and stuff like that, but of course not violent part because being parent they'd be very upset with that. Yeah, but they did know what was going on. Yeah, they did.
So then what happened?
And then I moved back to papa and mommy's place with Jerica. I just packed some of her clothes, left everything in the house that I bought, and
Immediately on
immediately
that
right
day.
on the spot, yeah, right on the spot, I called his mom over and called my parents over, our parents over, and just put whatever I can in the car, especially Jerica's clothes, my clothes, and we left for good. And he was just he was just screaming and shouting at the mother, because he's not in the right mind, right?
Yeah.
So then we moved back, and then I brought Jerica back. He did come trying to visit Jerica. I did allow him to carry Jerica, but she was not comfortable because Jerica, she's already matured at her age. She could be just 3 years old, but she's really, someone who's very mature for her age. So she could sense and see things that were happening at home and me not being treated well, right? And she's always been close to. So then one incident, he came, he was carrying her, but she was doing that gesture that she's not comfortable, and he was not happy. He thought that I taught her to be in that, to behave in that manner, that time. And then he just stepped right on my feet with that boots kind of shoes, and it hurt, and I screamed, and she got upset, and then she started crying, and my mommy came out and took her in, and she told mom that she said something, throw hot water on this man. She was
Mm.
really upset how he behaved. So then I think after that, he never came. And yeah, we just continued life. I make sure, there was tight security around Jerica, especially when she went to daycare, and made sure the teachers that nobody, they should not release her, without my permission. And they were all very good. Her daycare teachers were awesome. They always guarded her. And whenever Jerica's out, all my friends and family always guarded Jerica, because for the thing that in Malaysia back then, if you're converted to Islam, you can, people tend to take the advantage and snatch the kid off and convert the kid, which at that point of time was a very hot topic in Malaysia. So we didn't want that happening to her. He could just, yeah, she's a daughter. He could just, in the state of mind, he could just even rape her, molest her, or bring his friends over. I didn't want all that
Yeah.
happening. So just needed to guard her, and yeah, and we moved back. We moved back 2014. And then after moving back 1 year later, I switched job. I had an opportunity with a new company. I moved, and yeah, I stayed with mom and dad for a bit. House was small. Jerica was growing. She needed a space. So I managed to then, start looking out for, I mean, when I shifted to a new company, the benefits were good. The salary was good. I could afford a place on my own. So then I bought a place of my own, and then we moved out from our parents' place, and brought everybody along together with us. So we live in a nice condo now. Me, Jerica, my sister, and my mom and dad. My dad is no longer here, but yeah, with mom. So yeah, the story of my life.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Um, so when you went back to live with mommy and papa, uh, sometimes I don't know if the way I talk about our family and our parents, like people would think like we are being, I don't know, snobbish, or I don't know what kind of, but I think like even like for me, I've also made mistakes and all right. But I think one thing about our parents, and they're really not those typical brown parents, right? They don't go back and talk about your past. They just don't.
Yes,
Never. I mean I have friends, and I've heard like I hear my friends tell me how their parents treat them, the kind of words their father use on them, the kind of words their own mother use on them, and they will keep repeating like even if they're in a better place now, their parents always go back and talk about the past. Oh, you did this once, but no matter how much we screwed up, that was one thing that mommy and papa has
yeah,
never said to us, and I think it was so important because that has allowed us to grow to be the person we are. That real support and all.
yeah.
Yeah,
I totally agree. They never, until today, they have
yeah,
never said, "Oh, you did this. You married the wrong man. This is why this has happened to you back then." Never, never have they. For them, the
yeah,
past is past. Don't make the same mistake again, right?
yeah, yeah. And I think, well, when you say that, it dawns upon me because I think in your relationship it's also like that. Don't do the same mistake again. So did give the first chance, because I also believe the same, that the first time is called a mistake, the second time is
Time
called
is
a
a choice.
choice.
Yeah,
You cannot do the same mistake over and over again. It's always a choice. The
yeah,
second time, whatever you do the first time, it's fine. But the second time when you do something, it's always a choice.
yeah.
Yeah. What was it like at that point of time, having a 3-year-old with you, walking away? And then, when we get married, we think like, okay, so now life starts, and okay, I have all this plan. This is my whole family plan or whatever, this is how my life is going to be and all. And then suddenly you have this kind of thing happening, like adversities, and then life throws you curveball after curveball. So when this happened, it's almost like a speed breaker, right? Your entire life will have changed, and it did change. So what was it like for you? Um, Probably in your mid 30s, right, when this happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, in mid 30s, and in mid
To tell
thirties
my
is
age.
so if I tell people my age, people probably know my age, so they probably know because you are my older sister, and I have to mention that, which I forgot to mention that earlier. Um, so you know mid-30s is when like people like, okay, I've settled down in a beautiful career, or kids are halfway through school, probably another 10 years or 15 years, I'm gonna be an empty nester,
Yep.
something like that, right? But what was it like for you? Like now I have to start everything all over again from scratch. What was it like for you? And having to do it alone with a 2-year-old, with a 3-year-old at that point of time.
For me, right, I guess it'll be different from others. For me, it's like, yeah, it's fine. I've got my things that I wanted to do in the past when I was in that relationship, that marriage. Certain things I couldn't do. Yeah. So, but then I
Like
just
what?
like, I wanted to travel around. I
Mm.
moved to Singapore to work, wanted to have the money. Yeah, I like traveling. So wanted to do all that, which I never got to do. And I was never respected for my view and opinions. I couldn't be myself. I've got to filter things and, do things differently. I
When
wasn't
you
my,
were around him.
yes, I wasn't myself.
Mm.
I couldn't be myself. Initial state, yes, as it went down, later on, a later stage of the marriage, I just couldn't be myself. Even my friends will quote me fuck face. Sorry for my language, but
It's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So I couldn't be myself throughout, the later part of the relationship. So I just held back. And so when I had to pack up and leave, for me was this is it. This is it. It's freedom for me. I get to do whatever I want. And I get to do the things that I want to do. So for me, very importantly, what I had with me back then was family support. I had my mom, my dad, my sister, and of course my close friends around me who really supported me a lot. Yeah, I had my close families with me, so that really helped a lot. It's not that I was alone. I mean, yeah, I have a 3-year-old kid. I have a job. I still had my job back then, and I must say, my peers last time, my managers last time, they know what I was going through, and they were very supportive. Yeah, I had all the support I need. So it was easy for me to move on. And I have the kind of character that, I'm always strong in that sense. I'm the kind of person that I don't cry long over something. For me, it's like you don't cry over a spilled milk, right? Yes, things happen. Memories are there. Um, I'm that sort of person that I'll cry for a while, right? I'll cry maybe if I need to take a week to cry. Yes, I will do it. Then I tell myself, hey, get back on your feet, do what needs to be done, right? So I don't dwell on it long. I always look forward, like always, as like what I tell some of my folks. Bad things happen for a good reason, right?
Yeah.
So there's one door closed, there's always another door open. Why do you want to cry long about things? It's done and finished and cannot be undone, right? Just move on. Even if you have one day to live. Let's say I was diagnosed with cancer today, and I'm gonna die tomorrow. I'm not gonna sit. Yes, I'm gonna cry. That's human nature, right? I'm gonna cry and oh, why did I get this? I've got a kid and all that thing. But then I'm gonna tell myself that next 24 hours I have, I want to live it right. I want to spend time with the people I love, and try to do the things that I want to do, because I still have that 24 hours to live right and do the things I want. So I think me being that sort of character, and my dad has mentioned to me this when I actually put my ex in rehab. My dad said, I wouldn't be able to do what you've done. He said,
Really?
yes, yes, Papa did say. He said, I cannot do what you've done. Yeah, he did say that. Yeah. So I must say thanks to our parents that who has brought us as strong women. So not easy in the sense that how to say financially down, with all the debts that I had. I had so much of debt back then because of this man of my ex-husband, and it was not easy in the sense. But I had a roof to live. I had my parents' support, their family support, so that was easy for me to move. Yeah, I didn't have to pay extra for another house, and that actually helped. So bringing up Jerica when at that age at 3 wasn't difficult for me in that sense. I had support, as in I could go to work. Mom and dad could take care of Jerica. She goes to daycare, she comes back, everything is organized. So that for me was easy for me to move on. Yeah, and I just slowly put myself back, slowly start figuring things out and start doing things for myself then. Yeah.
How has your experience, this experience of yours changed the perspective on life? And like, what have you learned about yourself in this process?
Uh, perspective of life. If you to ask me, nothing stays permanent.
Mm.
Life goes on, right? Nothing in this world is permanent. Even our soul leaves our body one day.
Yeah.
So we could have a good time with, family and friends, or, have, some memory, but it's never going to be there all the time. It's one day it's just going to go off. And you just got to move on, right? And I have learned how to move on in life. So that has helped me. And what was the second one? What's
Uh, like what have you learned about yourself in this process? Like whatever has happened, like what have you learned about yourself?
what have I learned? I would say I realized that I'm someone very strong, very strong. Yeah, very strong. I've come to learn when the time that my dad actually mentioned that word to me, saying that, he would not be able to do what I've done. I believe another woman would have just committed suicide,
Yeah.
because it's mental torture. It's mental torture. It's not the physical torture, but it's the mental torture every day. I didn't have food, money to eat. There were so many times I had no money to eat, but I'll make sure there's food for my ex to eat, I'll save that
Mm.
5 ringgit just to buy him, a pack of rice, for example. But I never told my mom and dad that I have no money to eat, although they had food in the house. But they didn't want to go back there, and just pick my daughter up, Jerica up, and go back home. Right. So I've really learned life the hard way. Although we have been provided everything in our early
Yeah.
stages of life, until you start going out, start meeting people, and
Yeah.
it happens in everyone's life. Yeah, it's for me, it's a life experience. I have no regrets.
Yeah.
I completely have no regrets of marrying the wrong person and why my life is like that. No, for me, I'm happy it happened,
Yeah.
because that has made me to what I am today, the kind of person I am today.
Yeah. I like there's this quote that says, you never know how strong you are until being strong is
Agree.
your only option you have.
Yep, I agree. Completely
Yeah.
agree. Completely agree.
I see many women stay in relationships that they're not happy about. Whether the husband is or their spouse or their partner is abusing them or not, that's a different thing. But even it's just not being happy with the person and they just stay in relationships. Um, and also I'm also guilty of that for many reasons. Like, sometimes it's your ego, or how can I
Yep.
end the relationship? What would people think? Or I don't want to lose my parents' face and things like that. um, what would your advice be to someone who's currently facing similar life experience, maybe, or even, they're struggling in their relationship. They know that it's probably it was all bed of roses initially, but now it's no longer bed of roses. It's all just thorns, perhaps.
Yep.
Um, so, like I believe that whatever like lessons we learn and all, they're all timeless,
Yep.
meaning it doesn't have to be applied in a specific time. It can be applied throughout. It's just timeless, right? So what is your advice to someone who really really struggling, and they can't seem to find a way out? What should they do?
I guess for those who are, they can't find their way out, is, I think, coming back to them. Like, they're worried about, like what you mentioned, the points just now, worried about society. What would family think? The family face, right? And some might even think that if I'm out, would I ever find another partner? Right? Would I? But I would say, pack up and leave, right? Pack up and leave. What's the point of staying in a relationship that you're not happy about? And these are for the single parents, I mean, no kids, right? Pack up and leave. Have a conversation with your other partner and say, hey, I don't think I'm happy. I know it's not easy. It's easy for me to say. It takes a while, but it's the choice that you're making, whether you want to be happy or you just want to stay on the relationship. It comes back to the individual. Okay, if you choose to leave, just leave. It's not that I left and I didn't get any bad name. My ex were, saying stuff about me everywhere.
It's always the
Everywhere.
other party. It's always the
Yes.
wrong party that is
Yes.
going out and talking
I
bad
had
about the
him,
other person. Yeah,
bad
same.
mouthing about me everywhere. But you know what? At the end of the day, everybody knew what was happening. Even his mom knew what was happening, and nobody actually, talked bad about me. It's just that he was the only one going around telling stuff. So for me, if you ask me, to these ladies, I mean, it's all in your hand. Okay, you want to be happy, pack up and leave. Have a conversation. It's not going to be easy. The other party might not be happy. There'll be a lot of people involved, family, relatives, and stuff, but you just need to make the decision. If this is what you want, then you got to put a step forward and move on,
Yeah.
right? And for those with children, I know there's many families, who have kids, young kids, big kids. They don't move out of the marriage is because they have kids, right? Same thing, family shame and all that thing. And I think it's very wrong to think, yes, we want our kids to have parents and stuff, but it's also very wrong because you are actually teaching your kids that it's okay to stay in an unhealthy relationship like this, right? Like I teach Jerica, I said, she doesn't know what has happened between me and her, right? But I will definitely share with her one day because she needs to know why the separation took place. But I've never bad mouthed about him until today, right? So, but of course, she comes back from school and she shares things like, she's upfront with her friends saying that my parents are divorced and they ask what it is. And she said, oh, they don't love each other, so they don't live together. So she also comes and tell me back that, oh, her classmates come and complain saying that my parents are always arguing. Every time I go back, my parents are arguing, right? So I always educate Jerica, as long as it doesn't mean that all kids who have both parents are happy. As long as you have someone to take care of you, provide you all, you provide you a roof, provide you food, provide you love, that's all that matters. You could be adopted, it's fine. You could only have a single parent, a mother or a father, that's fine. Or you could be even taken care by your grandparents. What does matter that the love, support, and care is there, right? So what I'm trying to say is that for those parents who are thinking so much about their kids and not moving out of the relationship, you are actually teaching, at the end of the day, you're actually teaching your kids that it's okay for the man to abuse the woman, or the other way around, even the woman to abuse the man. That's it. This is normal. Okay. So when the mother or the father stays in this kind of relationship, the kids are watching everything. It's okay. It's the normal thing, right? So when they are out there, when they find their own partners, they will probably think if that partner is good, fine. But if their partner is something, relating back to how their parents were, then they think it's okay, right? So parents need to really think. I would say both sides, right? Not all women are great, not all men are great. So I'm speaking on both sides, not only for women. Think, think. If you want your child to be in a healthy environment, if the marriage is not working out, have a discussion and move on with life.
Yeah.
Just like what I did.
I agree. And the irony that you said, um, about choosing and not choosing, right? I actually
Mm.
posted yesterday on Threads and saying that what you're not choosing, you're actually choosing. It's a choice, right?
Yes.
What you're not deciding, you're actually, it's a decision because you're
Yep.
deciding not to choose. And it's true because when our kids, when they see this, right, it they kind of bring it with them, right?
Yeah.
And it goes into their body as their childhood trauma. And then
Exactly.
most of the time, when gone unprocessed, it becomes a part of them and they sort of attract the similar people in their life until they
Yeah.
become very, very conscious about it,
Yeah.
and do the healing and all that, then it goes off. Other than that, you will meet people like that, right? And if parents don't heal their part, they kind of um push that trauma or whatever into their child's belief, and then
Yeah.
that's how it's a never ending cycle. So someone has to break that family tree or whatever you call that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to add on to that, right? You are okay. For example, this marriage is broken, it's not working out, but they just stay on. And let's say they have a son. Okay,
Mm,
and scenario A is the husband is an abusive person.
mm,
So when the son watches it, right, he will end up being abusive to the woman he's going to be because for him that is normal.
yeah.
Same goes the other way around. If the mom is abusive and he has, I mean, they have a daughter and the daughter sees it, she will also bring this character in her. And when she has a partner, she's married, she will bring that character and she will be an abusive mom or an abusive wife.
Yeah.
So yeah, just wanted to add on that. So just make a decision. If this is what you want your kids to be healthy. If you're really thinking about your kids, then you need to make a choice of moving out. And
Yeah.
always seek help. Never keep problems to yourself. It's very important. I've shared with a lot of people around me. I always tell them, do not keep it within you. There's a lot of help. There's a lot of groups out there nowadays. With with a lot of things that people are focusing on, please go and talk to someone. Please,
Yeah.
please, please talk to someone and get help and get advice, consultation, and all. So that would really help on how you can. You're not alone. You are never
Yeah.
alone. There's always someone having worse situation than you. So just make the decision. I mean, if you want your kids to live a healthy life, you want to be happy at the end of the day, you need to make the decision.
Yeah, I think it's so true, and support is so, so important. In anything that we do, not just about,
Yeah,
walking out of relationship and starting over. It's even like, when you want to start a business, when you want to do better, um you always look for people, because as human beings, it's our natural instinct. We all thrive in tribes, right? Those from our ancestors time and things like that. We always thrive in tribes. So yeah, it's so important to actually have support in that sense.
yeah,
Yeah. And another thing that I wanted to share was, uh there's this guy who says this. He's one of my favorite podcaster, and he says, it's so hard to leave until you actually leave. Then it's the goddamn easiest thing that
yeah,
to do. So it can be very scary, it can be daunting, but the moment, like, it has even happened to me, right? The moment I just it takes so much of you, like, until you completely lose yourself,
yeah,
and you do not know who you are, and then finally you're like, you know what, enough is enough. But you don't have to reach that point, because it's not a very nice place. You go really low and bottom. It's not a very nice place to be in that state. So yeah, so reach out, support, and get help from people. I totally agree. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about something interesting. I think we've not talked about it as a family. And I think you know where I'm going to.
no,
Oh, you don't. Okay, I think okay, I want to talk about grief.
yeah,
Okay. And I think as a family, losing Papa last year, I think as a family, we all deal with grief very,
yeah,
very differently,
differently, yeah,
separate. And I don't think we even talked about it. We discussed about it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think we all just push our sadness under the rug.
yeah.
Um, so I want to ask you, that night when before he passed away, uh, uh, I mean, of course, we didn't know it was going to be his last night, right? But was there anything that was running on your mind? I know that we were both supposed to go out, you with your boss
Yeah,
and me with
yeah.
my friend. But then I decided to stay back because yours was more important and mine wasn't that important. So was there anything that was running through your mind when he was just, I don't know, doing all the weird stuffs at home?
I mean, he was just not well. I didn't think that I will ever lose him, right? I guess we both spoke about this. We were in denial that he was growing old. Yeah, he was 75, a good age. But Papa was so healthy that none of
Yeah,
us thought that, he would just go off like that, right? And I guess we were both in denial, always saying, Papa, you can do it. You don't complain. Mahadev is already 90 plus, and, he remembers things and stuff like that. You used to scold it. I mean, you used to tell him off.
yeah. I used to get
So,
annoyed, like,
yeah. But
yeah,
I guess we were just in denial because as you grow older, your body changes, right? So we were just thinking that, he's just being manja and, and that sort of thing. Yeah, so when I saw him that day, it's like I didn't think much. I never thought that I'm going to lose him until when I left to go out, and never has Bailey, as in our dog Bailey, he has never barked whenever any of us leave the house, right? But that day when I was leaving the house, I was, very fickle minded. Should I go for dinner? Should I not? Should I go? Should I not? Should I go? Should I not? And I said, never mind, Sarah is here. She will handle whatever. If there's an emergency, I will come back out. So I left and Bailey was barking, and I'm like, why is this guy barking out of nowhere? Right? So I left and yeah, I was halfway having dinner, and that's when you called the ambulance and you took Papa to the hospital, you informed. And so I left dinner straight away. I came back home to be with my mom and Jerica. Well, Sarah was in the hospital. I have a very close friend, right? And I called him and told him like 11 o'clock at night. I was, because he knew what was happening to Papa back then. And so I said, hey, I'm feeling very scared. I think I'm going to lose Papa, like how you lost your mom. So he tells me, don't talk nonsense. Papa will be all right. And then we just ended the conversation. I don't know why I had this strong feeling that I'll be losing him.
Mm-hmm.
So I did tell my friend that I said, you know what, I think I'm going to lose Papa. I don't think so I'm going to see him back. Yeah.
Mm.
At that point of time, that 11 something, when you were still in the hospital and I was back, I did mention that to him. Yeah. So that was running and getting a call like 5 o'clock in the morning
Yeah,
from
that
the
was that was
hospital
gonna
was,
be my next question. So what was running in your mind when you received the call from the hospital? Because they didn't mention anything.
I knew was something not pleasant at all.
But did you know what is going to be for sure?
No, it was just half half. It was really half half. Is he gone, or maybe he's just in a serious situation that they really need us to be in the hospital. So that was all running, and I got mommy to pack up all his clothes, his
Yeah.
toothbrush. My dad's very particular with all this, so I still did carry the bag. We did carry the bag, and I took Sarah with me to the hospital. We went to the hospital. We waited like 1 hour, and then
No, no, no.
the doctor came out first and said, "You hold on, doctor wants to speak to you
Yeah,
about."
it was
He's
actually just for
okay.
a
They
while.
didn't
Yeah.
even break the news. Then the actual doctor came out. That's when they broke the news. Then I didn't know how to react.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to react. I don't think I cried at that time. I can't remember. I don't think I cried.
No, we both didn't.
I didn't
Because
cry.
I did not react as well.
Yeah. I just didn't know. I was just asking them questions, I guess, like what happened throughout the night, how did they pass away and all. I didn't cry. I didn't cry. I completely didn't cry. But then I started calling, important people around me. And yeah, we went back home. And yeah, we had to break the news to mom. And I guess I didn't cry still. But then when I went back to the mortuary, I cried on my way to the mortuary in the car on my own. And throughout the funeral, I had to, being the eldest daughter, it's only two girls, right? No boys. In the Hindu ceremony, usually the guys will do everything for the parents as organized. I had to go to the mortuary. I had to do every arrangement while Sarah had to look after everybody at home and stuff. I did not cry. I did not cry. Even the funeral day, I was standing strong. I did not cry, while everyone else around me was crying. I only broke down after a couple of days. I think about a week, right?
Why
And
so?
I don't know. I guess I really don't know. I don't know how to answer that. It just nothing was just coming. I guess I told myself I got to be strong for the family, and I had to do so many things there, right? I had to prepare, I had to make the arrangement, I had to run up and down. The hardest part was breaking the news to Jerica, because I
Hmm.
had to pick up from school, right? So she knew something is not wrong. I mean, something is not right because mom is here to pick me up early. And I think until today, she has not let go of that, right? She doesn't talk about it. She never likes to talk about it.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've cried in front of her many times, right? And until today, I do cry about him. There's never yet, never think about him, or I'm always crying because I guess I didn't do it at that particular time. That
Hmm.
it has dragged me until today, right? So it's hard for me now. I wished I cried back then, which nothing was coming. I even had Papa's friend calling me up after funeral. How are you guys doing and stuff? He said, I really salute you. You were just standing there and doing everything.
Hmm.
He said you were just running around like a guy, arranging this, arranging that, doing this, doing that. He said, I really salute you. That's how your parents have brought you up. Yeah. But I'm feeling it now more because I guess relative kicked in after a
Yeah.
few days that, the few days everybody is with you and, families are around. We had great, awesome families who have, they were just there the whole time and being very supportive. But I guess everybody was in shock. But I think when we came back to our place, that's when reality actually hit me because I have been working from home since COVID, right?
Yeah.
And the minute I open my room door, Papa is sitting outside in the corner, watching TV or on his steps and in good morning messages. And he's the one who wakes me up every morning. He's my
Hmm.
alarm clock in the morning, right? And he's also my snoozer. So it really hit me hard until today. I'm just not ready, right? I don't know how long I'm going to grieve, but yeah, no, I'm still not there yet.
I remember when leaving for the hospital that day, you said if anything happens, we must be ready to accept. Do you remember that?
Uh, I'm not too. Oh,
Yeah.
in the morning, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
in the morning. Yeah.
yes,
So, uh, because you had the instinct that something was wrong.
yeah.
Okay.
And my instincts are usually sharp. Like when I called my friend and told him at night, I
Mm.
just felt that it's just something. Sometimes I get this kind of instinct that is
No,
too.
we are all human beings. We
Yeah,
get every single one of us get it, but most of the time we just brush it off.
yeah. So I did. I just had it, and he was very close to me, and I just had to call him and tell him because he knew
Yeah.
what was going on throughout the day, right? So I did mention to
Yeah.
him, and he brushes off and
I,
say
th-
no.
I think similar to you, I didn't cry. Uh, yeah, I didn't cry. It was so hard for me to cry. Like tears were just not coming out at all.
Yeah,
Uh, until I remember that night when after everybody have left, it was about 10 something. Then you said, hey, play Papa's favorite songs. He likes to hear all these Beatles and PG
yeah,
songs.
yeah,
So I started playing Elvis Presley's Can't Help Falling in Love because that was the song we played for their 40th anniversary. That was the moment where I just broke down. Like I think for a good 20 minutes, I just stood there staring at him and crying. I think that was my first time I actually cried. And then after that, I was actually due to go to Europe, right? So I feel like I did not have enough time to grieve. So by time we came back, like after 11 days later, we came back home and then I had to leave in 2 days' time. I really did not have time to grieve. So I feel like until today, I I never really grieved because I didn't had that time to grieve, and also because I think my tears were pretty dried up because of what happened to me like 2 months
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
I think I cried my lungs out because of I packed my bags and left Singapore and came back. My tears are literally dried. And then before that, when he wasn't feeling well, and then we thought that he had cancer and things like that, right? So that part, another half bucket of tears has
yeah,
been. So
yeah,
when he went, it was like I felt like I waited for that moment because I didn't want that moment to come in my life at all.
yeah.
But when it came, I didn't know how to, like, I became emotionless when that
Yeah,
day
I
came.
agree. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I
Like
agree.
until today, every single morning when I wake up and I open the door, the first thing I see is the dining table chair that
Yeah,
he was standing the
yeah,
night the day before he passed away, one day before. And then of course the sofa where he sits and sends all his good morning
yeah,
messages.
yeah,
I think about him every single day. At least once a day I would, like, especially first thing in the morning, because that's where he
yeah.
would sit down.
He's all our alarm clock. Yeah,
Yeah. And um I think not many people, I would say, like not many children have the privilege to be waken up by their father,
yeah,
and he wakes us up. So like he calls, morning, Ma Sarah.
yeah,
That's all he has to say, and then I would just wake up. Like most parents will shout at their child, wake
yeah,
up, it's
yeah,
late, and this and that. But for him, it's
yeah,
like, good morning, Ma Sarah. It's
yeah,
such a lovely thing to
yeah.
actually hear early in the morning.
Same.
Yeah.
He will just say, "Good morning, Ma Kelly," and then he goes to Jerica. Good
Yeah.
morning, Ma Kelly. Happy
Happy
Tuesday.
Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy Tuesday.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
So I guess my last question then, which I usually ask at the beginning, but I tend to forget. So my question: what brings you joy?
What brings me joy? Putting a smile on my daughter's face brings me joy. Joy. Yeah. So everything I do, I won't say everything that's bullshitting. Right? I got to do something for myself too. But me working so hard is basically for her. Because if I was single, things would be totally different, right? I just want to give her the best, like how our parents have provided us. I mean, so yeah, seeing her happy brings joy to me. See her love what she loves doing brings joy to me. So you know how my style of bringing her up. So yeah, so just watching her grow it brings joy to me. I mentioned to you early. I've never been a keto person. Never wanted to have kids. I was being selfish in that sense, right? Never wanted to, but I'm happy I have her because my legacy will carry on, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to do the best for her. That brings joy. Doing things for her brings joy. Giving her the resources that she needs brings joy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and yeah,
I think in another way, if she is not around, the family tree ends with us, the both of us, because
exactly,
I'm not going to have
exactly,
kids.
because no way.
So at least we are safe to say that the
Yeah,
family tree will continue in another 70 years, 80 years, right?
exactly. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it
Yeah.
just ends with us two girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think you are someone who's really strong. I mean, I don't say this enough, but I do. I think siblings being siblings, we don't talk about each other
Ego.
directly, but we talk about, each other's strength, like to our friends and family. And I'm sure you say good stuff about me as well,
Of
although
course
like
I
you
do.
don't say it to my face. But I think like you're really strong. Sometimes I wonder how you do the things that you do. I don't know if I will be able to do it. For me, I'm just always selfish. I just want to be free and I don't want to have any
Yeah,
but it's also because of my past experiences that with relationships and all. But I think you're really strong. Again, we are similar but different in our own ways, right?
yeah,
Even personality wise,
right.
similar but it's still different. So, and I don't know, but I feel like you and me reminds me of these two brothers. One is the older brothers, like my kind of person, like the quiet, the low key one, and then the younger brother is more of like um the go getter, the high achiever. Yeah. So I think you're always doing your best, and I actually see you evolve as well over the years. Like you
Yeah.
used to be someone who you pinch so much for money, like but when an outsider looking, you'll be like, why are you so stingy? Like, chill. But now it's like, now I see, like you actually spend and, you single-handedly do everything. Even I don't contribute much, but you single-handedly, like, run the family. And on top of that, you actually buy stuff and groceries for other people who are least fortunate, and you do your part so much. So I think there's a lot of recognition needs to be made there.
Yeah, that part of giving back, right? I think it comes from our parents, right?
Mm.
So I always believe in giving more. Yeah, for me, it's always been the blessing. I mean, I could even have 10 ringgit, but if I see someone who really needs food, I would
Yeah,
just take the money and give it to them.
yeah,
It gives me joy buying stuff for people, and I started within the family, within my circle of people. I don't have to go out there and look for others. There's always someone around your circle that would need help, and I'm happy to buy. And I also, we teach Cherika the same, right?
yeah,
We always teach her about giving back to the people around you. So yeah, that's another thing that gives me joy, just giving something. I could even buy a bag of rice. I'm so happy, but I don't give to the beggars in the street. Yeah,
Mm.
I
Why
do not
so?
give, because it depends. If the beggar has no leg, no hand, and is sitting on their baggie, I will put something, or if there's food nearby, I will buy a packet food and give it to them, of course, with a fork and, looking at the condition. But if someone who can walk, you could be someone who's old, but you could still walk, I would not, die, would not give anymore. I would not.
Mm,
Because for me, these people are just solely lazy. They can just sit somewhere, do something simple, like even like washing plates or just sweeping around or just doing some work to earn the money. But these people just choose to, go in back. And why should I give you?
mm,
Right? I do not give in this sense. I give to people who really,
mm.
right? So I don't simply give to them. Sorry, but no, not for me. Unless he's got a broken leg and hand or what, yes, I will give him some, but otherwise I don't.
Okay, maybe one question came up for me. What is your proudest mother moment?
I've got so many moments. My daughter graduating from what is that?
Uh,
Kindergarten. We had a tea ceremony, right? And I was actually tearing because I was, oh God, someone who never wanted kids, and she's already 6. Yeah, I was tearing during her graduation day. These kind of moments will come. Probably now she's in standard 6. She's 12 now. Probably when she moves on to higher secondary school, I'll probably tear. And we've got something coming up for her soon. And yeah, that'd be a very emotional time for me, I believe, because I would say, as a mother, I solely handed her.
Yeah.
in that sense, although I had everybody's support, but it's not easy, right? There's a lot of challenges, and I have more challenges coming ahead. She being a fine young lady, probably boyfriend problems, all this. I would have to face the challenge. So yeah, I mean, I've been proud of myself, I would say. I mean, it's not just one moment, but I have a lot of moments. Every day I'm proud of something, right? So I'm not a perfect mother, I must say. I have my faults as well. I turn into a monster at times. Yep. And sometimes my sister will say, "Hey, you've got to be this, let her go for this." So she tells her aunt, she pitches to her aunt, "Why is not letting me go?" And then aunt will slowly
No,
come and
she only uses me. Only when she wants things done, she will come and tell
so the
me so
aunt will
that
soft talk, slow talk to me. She's having this. I think, why don't you do it this way? So, I mean, like I said, we're all not perfect. We learn from each other, right? So I also do mistakes equally. Yeah. You know, my motherhood didn't come with experience, right?
no motherhood comes with manual.
So yeah, I'm proud every day. I mean, I look forward. I like my sister is my coach, and she taught me about she made me read Subconscious Mind, the blue book. Right, that has also helped me in the way I think of things and how I do things. And yeah, so I would say my sister has shared with me a lot, guided me along the way. And yeah, that also contributes to who I am today and how I think today. Yeah. So for people who don't know me, probably think I'm arrogant,
I
snobbish. But
get that a lot.
so for people who know me, they will know me.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
I think they say shit, what's that quote? If people who mind won't matter, people who matter won't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
So
great.
yeah.
Cool. Any last parting words that you would like, any message or anything you would like to share?
I just like to say life is a journey. It's not a destination, right? We all sometimes think that we want to use this particular road, right? And we just don't have plan B, plan C. We always look at plan A, right? Um, so if you're on plan A, you're on road A, right? Right, heading towards, and sometimes things gets diversified. Things happen along the way. So that doesn't mean it's end of the world, right? Like I said, life is a journey, not the destination. Like if I were to relate somewhere closer to our place, we have two roads. One is the back road, one is the front main road.
Yep.
So if you're going through the back road and you come to a roadblock, I would say sometimes it's jam traffic. We always take the side road down. Same goes with life, right? It's not always a straight road. Don't give up, right? If you're stuck, always ask for help
Yeah.
because you're never alone. Always ask for help. Don't be shy to ask for help, right? If you we are all not perfect, we are all not we don't know every single thing, right? So always seek for help. It's okay to detour before you get to your destination. We all detour. I don't think there's anyone who has gone through
Oh,
a straight road. We all detour. So never give up, right? Never give up, and the choice is yours. So make the right
yeah.
decision and
Thank
be
you.
happy. Make sure you're happy at the end of the day of what you're doing. That
Yeah.
matters the most, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think about that journey thingy destination, like what Jay Shetty says, you will get to where you want, just not the way you expect it to go.
exactly. Yes, I
So
totally
even
agree.
like for me, like last year, I remember in February, I wrote in my journal that I wanted to attend Mind Valley University. That was my destination, but the journey it took me there, oh my God, the amount of losses, the amount of tears I had, but it was worth it. For me, it was worth it. So yeah, so thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
for
having
being,
me.
you're most welcome.
Oh my God. Thank you for having me, sir.
Thank you so much.
And I
Okay,
love
bye.
you.
I love you too. Bye. Thank you for joining us on this soul enriching episode of Spatial Sarah, the podcast that brings back the beauty of meaningful conversations. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I invite you to carry the inspiration from these campfire worthy conversations into your daily life. Embrace the power of connection, open your mind to new ideas, and continue exploring the depths of our own thoughts. Share this episode with someone you know will benefit. Follow and tag me on Instagram at I am Sarah Samy #campfire-worthy convo. Until next episode, keep dreaming, keep connecting, and keep embracing the magic of meaningful conversations. Signing off, your spatial buddy, Sarah.